This is an approval of the minutes of August 2nd,
What now?
September 6th, and September 12th.
It says live, but that not.
And Mr. Blaine?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve for discussion purposes.
I'll second that.
Mr. Chairman, I would take the committee to the advisory board, I'm sorry, to the September 12th meeting, and maybe this should have been maybe I didn't make it clear at this meeting, but it indicates on the second page, Mr. McLean indicated that skydive landing zone lease is extremely reasonable low. Mr. McNair, Mr. Griffin spoke regarding the option of getting an appraisal and looking into the potential of increasing that mid-fiscal year. But I did not see that as a follow-up item or under old business. So I just want that noted. And could we have that as a follow-up?
Absolutely.
All right, with that, and then my motion stands to approve if Melissa's okay with that comment. Cool.
Okay, is there any further discussion? All right, I'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. I just have a few comments. Again, thank you to each one of you for being here and for taking your time. This is an important part of our community, maybe more important than many people realize. It is an entrance to our city that's extremely important. And it's an amazing development. I have a couple of quotes that I wanted just to read to you that are relevant to what we do today. And this one's from Jerry Crawford. It said, to most people, the sky is the limit. To those who love aviation, the sky is home. And then I have one from Mr. Sikorsky that said, aeronautics was neither an industry nor a science. It was a miracle. And then the last one is from Barry Goldwater that said, any pilot can describe the mechanics of flying. What it can do for the spirit of man is beyond description. And that, I think, gives us a view of what we do here at the airport and what the airport's all about. And thank you again for your time and your energy and your wisdom. There's a lot of brains that have been spread in this little room and used to develop. And Andrew and you have done an amazing job again. I just can't stop that.
Here.
You know, it's so important to our community. So thank you.
Mr. Chairman, one comment on your quotes, if I may.
Please.
The second quote was from Mr. What was it?
Sikorsky.
A helicopter gentleman, was he not?
Amen. I love that.
Yeah.
Do you want me to read it one more time?
No, I just want to make sure Mr. Johnson was aware of that.
Yeah. Well, it's true. It's a miracle. It's not just science.
Appreciate it.
So, okay, and that's the end of my comments. I think, let's welcome Mr. Browning.
Fashionably late.
You have a chair down there?
Yeah.
Run here. I hope you don't.
Mr. Browning, thank you, sir. Do you mind sitting on top?
Sure you don't want to change.
No, it's kind of she didn't take the sand out of her pocket. You know, it's eating and I'm like, oh,
No.
you can make your plate first.
Only one person has eaten.
Sorry.
Hey, now, and you know, Mr. Chairman, yesterday was John Browning's birthday, by the way.
Happy birthday to
And Dan Martinez that same breath.
Amen.
Well, happy birthday, Mr. Brown.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you for.
No.
We're waiting for you.
Ken Johnson ate, so you're good.
Nobody else is gonna eat.
No, we are. We're just waiting on you, sir. You have to break the
Go
ice.
ahead and eat now, John. Senior citizens need to eat.
I thought everybody ate, now I'm behind.
No.
Okay, so that was, next is public comments. So do we have any public comments?
Please.
Yes, go right ahead, Steve.
Thank you. Hi, Rick Cunningham, AOPA's Airports Support Network volunteer for this airport. So about 2 months ago, we had a meeting on hangar rents. And that went very well. Yul did a wonderful job of getting all the data together and getting it organized. But I wondered whether that was the basic hangar rent. I wondered whether the rest of the board or some of the board might not understand what else is involved in the hangar rent. So, for instance, on my particular hangar, the basic hangar rent was $133 and change. And then it went to 160 or 333 and change, and it went to 366 and change. And then I think Wayne made a motion to move it out, so it went to 370. So that was just fine. But 3 years ago,
You can sit beside me if you want to.
Okay, thank you.
Keep going, brother.
3 years ago, it was discovered that maintenance on the hangars was not proceeding as well as it should be. And in fact, there's a FAA order 5190 that says if you receive federal funds, you must maintain the infrastructure, which is runways, taxiways, lights, rotating beacon, all that stuff, including the hangars. And evidently they were falling behind, so they put this $25 fee on there. So on my case, it went from 370 to 395. Okay, so in the process, then there's tax involved. So there's tax on the hangars. That's always been that way. So now we lump this $25 maintenance fee onto that, and we tax that. I'm not sure, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm not sure that that's the right thing to do at that point in time. Because your Florida rules say that you don't tax labor. But if something is transferred, paint, sandpaper, nuts and bolts, if something is transferred, then you can tax the whole thing. But it's not transferred to the payee, it's transferred to the city, because they're the ones that get the improvements. So I question whether taxing that $25 is a legitimate expense. It's only $1.75 a month, but still it's been on for 3 years. Okay, so the other way around that is to quit naming it aircraft maintenance, hangar maintenance, and just lump it into the hangar rent. And now it's all okay. And the $25 hangar maintenance, which shows up on the bill as hangar maintenance, causes a lot of problems with people because they don't see any maintenance being done. And if you listen to all the people, a lot of them are fussing about or unhappy about the fact that, well, I pay $25 a month and I don't see anything being done. Okay, so by eliminating that, moving it into the hangar fee itself, they aren't getting this thing staring them in the face. And so anyway, so then it went to, so it was $395 plus the tax was $27.65, which brought it to $422 and change. Well, now, and this is the one that kind of gets me, but it's okay. There's a $3 service fee. In order to pay your bill, they charge you $3. It doesn't seem like, it's okay because it's only $3, but it just seems like you shouldn't have to pay that. So now, on my case, it went to $425.65. So it's a long way away from 370 to $425. And that's not a complaint, it's just so that people know what's going on. There's another thing that's quickly I'll cover. And it appears to me with some concern that there are, and I may be wrong, there are no active pilots on the board. I don't know if that's totally true, but to my knowledge, there are no active pilots on the board, and that's kind of unusual. Most boards have at least. Okay, so several years ago, Jeff Hathorn was on the board. And what a very active pilot, had 2 airplanes. He didn't keep here to get no police on, but he was very active and he played a big role in our fly-in. We had our fly-in, and he stepped down from the board and was not replaced. And then Hugh Rawls was an active pilot until the last couple of years when he had health issues, and he passed away and was not replaced. So I'm just wondering whether the board might want to consider putting an active pilot on the board. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you very much for those comments. We appreciate them, and we'll take note of all that. And maybe you can check the tax deal out, and we can talk more about that maybe next meeting, I guess. That's good. Okay.
Is it appropriate, Mr. Chairman, to comment on public comment?
Sure.
John, don't start, John, don't get, don't start rising with Ken Johnson there.
As long as it's not.
I hadn't said a word. So the comment the gentleman made about maintenance, I would like to, refresh our memories. Actually, it goes back to John and I, at a meeting, wanted that maintenance fee to stand out separate. So it wouldn't get lost in the hustle and bustle, so we keep the, management and the board's mind that we were charging a maintenance fee and we should be doing maintenance on
But
these.
that was
the reason, remember,
that's
John?
right, and if we're not doing the maintenance,
Right.
the people paying $25 should see, whether it be their hangar, the hangar next door. If in fact we're not doing the maintenance, we should connect the fee. That was why we did that.
John's absolutely correct. So I just want to say, I like having the maintenance fee separate. And I like keeping an eye on the ball that we need to be doing maintenance on these hangars, because he's absolutely correct. I don't know if you guys have any comments on that.
Your report.
No, actually, I can respond to it now.
Okay.
So it's my understanding that if we were collecting this to address some serious concerns with the hangars, one of the major concerns is painting. And it was my understanding that with the painting projects, we really needed to, I guess, be smart about how you do it, because it's a huge undertaking. Also, part of the maintenance fee, we were able to address some lighting issues. Actually, I think that one of our customers came in the last meeting, and they're actually up next for repairing lighting, those kind of things. So, you know, the money is there. The money, in city manager can certainly correct me if I'm wrong. You know, the money is being collected and the money is being carried over. And there have not been a lot of projects, but there are projects happening. When some of the low hanging fruit come to our attention from customers, saying, "Hey, our lights don't work down here. You know, we really need this addressed." You know, that's how we kind of approaching it. But you know, it's not a big pot. So, you know, we're trying to approach it the best way we can.
Yes, sir.
What I'd like to see is, you know, it's a matter of business decisions on which maybe come before the board, show us what are we doing? We got hangar doors that won't work. I don't worry about paint. I don't even worry about putting the new LED lights up. That helps the light bill for the city. It doesn't help the guy that's doing it. I think gotta make sure that we have a reasonable expectation of doing what we said. The only way you're gonna do that is not, because when you talk about lights at airport or lighting, you could spend millions. I mean, there's no end to it. I would like to see a list of things that need to be done on maintenance. And then we can say whatever we want to, but just to say we're gonna do maintenance, I think he makes a good point. Everybody wants to know where their money is being spent. You wanna raise the hangar rent, raise the hangar rent. But if you're gonna call it maintenance, I think he's right. We ought to have a list. And then we look at it. If you've got something worth $5 million, or because some of those were really big numbers, as I recall, it wasn't that, but it was hundreds of thousands. I'd rather see some hangar doors that are about to fall off fixed, even if they aren't painted. Does that make sense? If they could bring us a list, then we can look at it. We'll recommend to the city.
And bearing in mind that we are an advisor capacity.
All we do is advise, absolutely. But that is our job, to look and to advise on concerns, right? Yeah.
Do what?
But we are here to advise the city on what.
We're saying the same thing.
Good.
Is that where the AC repair came out of? As
The
well?
AC, well, there are other projects in terms of hangar. I'll come back to this body with a proposal from the company for hangar maintenance at the airport itself with the cost.
So
We
when
have
it
that.
comes up, we can hand it to them.
Absolutely.
That's all.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All right, thank you very, very much. Next on our list is the financial report as of September 30th, 2023.
Mary.
Well,
Down
going
here.
around and things, my apologies, can I interrupt you?
Yes, sir.
So would everybody say their name, one you guess, each to that?
So Marcia Marty, Finance Director for the City of Palatka.
Alyssa Miller for advisory.
Robbie Correa, Mayor. Jane West, City Attorney.
Wayne McLean, advisory board member.
Pink Hat Lady.
Yeah, there you go.
Sophia Smith, assistant.
John Browning, Advisory Board.
Jonathan Griffith, interim city manager. Matt Singletary, Pastor Associates, project manager, engineering consultant for the airport. City. Ken Johnson, advisory board.
Move like that, airport manager.
Judge Newfeld, board member. So welcome, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. All right, go ahead, sir. Oh, you can.
Okay, all right, so hopefully everyone can either see it up top or you can look in your packet. And I'm just gonna hit the highlights. The report itself is broken out basic revenues and then expenditures and then net result. So our first category of monies coming into the airport that's identified here would be federal grants. And the budget for last year, the year ended September 30th, 2023. The budget to spend for federal grants was $1,360,000. But as of September, and this information that you're revealing is prior to the audit. So this is unaudited information. Okay, so year to date, as of September 30th, we have received or earned $131,234. We're on page 1 of federal grants, okay? And so we thought we would actualize 1,460,000. However, we actually earned 131,000, so that's that. With state grants, we budgeted 971,000, but we actually earned more, 1,112,817. So for total grants, we budgeted 2,431,486, and we actually earned 1,244,051. So we didn't finish whatever needed to be completed to earn the full amount that we had budgeted for the year that has already ended as of September 30th, 2023. Going to page 2, and let me see, I think, yeah, going to page 2. Operating revenues would be the next category. And operating revenues consist of our sales of aviation fuel and vending and aviation lubricants, hangar rentals, maintenance fees, etc. And so when you look at that, the budget for the operating revenues was 1,401,000. You see that? And so what we actually spent was 1,135,599. So we did not spend 265,000. And again, I reiterate, this is unaudited. Why do I say that? Because there can be invoices that are on the way in that we don't know anything about. So once we do the year-end closing, we'll get our final numbers. Other revenues, the budget was 2,250. However, we earned 20,238 primarily because of an insurance claim, $13,194. Transfers from general. So if for some reason the airport did not earn enough money to pay its operating expenditures, then general fund would have transferred in. The budget for the year that has ended would have been 459,340. But as of the end of September 30th, no transfers were made in from general fund, okay? Again, this is unaudited, so once we get out of the beans there, you never know. The cash balance carried forward that 19,200. I got a feeling that may be fees collected or fees that money we're gonna spend for maintenance or something. I don't know the history there, but we did not use any of it, so that 19,200 is still there. Okay, so at the end of page 2, we can now say, well, what was total revenues, transfers, and cash balance for the year that ended September 30th, 2023? And so now we can summarize it. Our budget was $4,313,000. We actually earned $2,399,888. So unearned is 44%. So 44% of that 4,313,000 we did not generate or bring in for this year that ended September 30th, 2023. Moving on to page 3. Now we're looking at expenses. Okay, so our first category is personnel services, and our budget was 315. And as of September 30th, 2023, unaudited numbers, we have spent 290,727. We have not spent 24,369. Operating expenses, our budget for operating expenses on page 4 is 1,160,191. And we actually spent 886,108. We did not spend 274,000. For capital outlay and grant combined together, 3,958,298 is our budget. And we did actually spend together 1,000,009. Anyway, the point, I got a phone that also added in that 800. So this total below that says 3,958,000 is inclusive of everything for airport, including the grant, the capital, the operating and personnel. And so we add all of that together, we spent 1,919,000. For debt servicing, the budget was 141,739, and we're still on page 4. I'm going too fast. Please slow me down.
You're doing fine.
Thank you. So when we look at debt service, our actual expenditures is 141,525. So we're pretty much on target. And I think to note, we have paid off the debt. Yeah. Okay.
That's good, right?
All right. So I think that's congratulatory. Yeah, that's congratulatory right there. Yeah, so I agree. Okay. And if we go to page 5, the transfers that we expect the airport to transfer to general fund for, general fund administrative expenditures. The budget was 213,000, but as of the end of September 30th, and again, we have not closed out the year. We have a lot of journal entries and so forth that have to be completed. But as of this moment, it reflects 110,000. I am sure when we're done, it will reflect the 213,000, but this is where we are. And so that's it for now. I had to say, did the airport operate at a loss or at a profit? Even though this is not, audited numbers, we can go and look at page number 2 and look at that second column, which is 2399 and 3/8. And then we would subtract from that 2171543. But this pen doesn't work, so I can't calculate it for you, but 399,888 subtract from it 2171543, just to give us a preliminary number. We know this is not real yet because we have not closed the books, right? And the closing entries haven't been done, but preliminarily it would be 128,345 that we operated in a way that revenues were greater than expenses. Okay, but remember, that's pre-audible financial statements.
You've said it several times.
I meant to say it.
It's still good news, but that revenue does include transfers from the general fund, correct?
No, from what I remember, let me please go back and look, please. Okay, so when we go to page 2, which is where the transfers would be included. There were no actual transfers made as of yet. So that's why I really was trying to point that out, that this is not the final financials for airport. This is preliminary. This is at the end of a date. Here we are. Okay, what still needs to be done and will be done within the next 45 days are the journal entries to close the financials for the year.
And go ahead and say it again.
One more time for that one back.
And then we will have audible financial statements. We do not have it as of yet, okay? So this is pre-audit. I hope this has helped you.
This is very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. So,
Are there any other questions? Thank you very much.
my question.
Right, now we go back to the agenda to 4B, and I think that is Mr. Yule.
That's me. Yes. Board members, before I hit this, what I just wanted to know is that the airport is committed to working with finance to really help us develop some procedures and just kind of bring up to speed some of the practices that we've had in place. So, a lot of the results you will see coming down the road here in terms of performance and just more efficiencies. It was a result of working closely with you guys to help us to do a more I guess effective job at day-to-day business.
Thank you. And we are starting that already. Ms. Sophia and I have already started.
That being said, so the airport report for you guys this cycle or this month, fairly straightforward. I would like to spend time on the kind of elephant in the room, and that's our field operations. Okay, so I think the last time we were together, we talked about where we were with cleaning and inspecting the tanks. So, those things were done. And at the end of the day, there were findings inside the tank. So we had to bring the tanks offline for submittal to in September. It's probably one of the toughest decisions I've had to make because that's our #1 revenue generator. So let me just kind of preface some things here. We are selling fuel. We're just not selling fuel at a volume like we were accustomed to. So we work with finance, we work with the city manager, we pull the POs. We have a company that came in and actually did the cleaning and inspection. Ended up being the same company to come in and do the repairs. So all POs have been pulled, they've been submitted to this company. They're looking at mid-November for coming here to repair the tanks. We're not the only game in town. There are many airports throughout the state of Florida going through the same similar process. Either they are going through the annual inspections or they are going through the cycle of replacing the tanks. I would tell this body now that in 5 years, I would like to replace the tanks. And I would like to also look at more capacity. Currently, we got 12,000 gallons per tank. I want to get larger. I want to look at newer. Our tanks are 20 years old. So that's our reality. So the repairs should get us through the next 5 to 8 to 10. So the numbers for the fuel sales reflect that. At the end of the day, we don't get the volume that we're accustomed to getting. Avgas year over year, you look at 33 versus 21. We have an Avgas truck, and it's purely from a courtesy for our customers. We try to figure out ways to soften the impact of the operation of the tanks being down. So it's only 1,000 gallons capacity, but it's something. I would hate to be sitting here without any gas off. moving to the next slide, Jet A. Jet A is a little bit different. Obviously, we don't have the capacity. But the capacity in the truck difference 3,000 gallons. And you get a jet come in here and they want, you get 400 gallons. So that's $2,000, $3,000 pop for us, versus smaller operators. So I'm bringing it to your attention because the folks for the operation I'm recommending is that's where we're going. Once the tanks are back online, then we can launch our marketing campaign to really draw the jet service in. Our peer airports out there, in this case, Williston, and many others have similar campaigns and they are proven. Essentially, they're going to push out 28J to the jet operators. So all of us know that 28J is in a very popular corridor. And folks come here just because of our location. To have a national company to push out our location to these operators coming in and out of here will be very positive to us as the airport. Move to the next slide here. So as of September, we're 100%. We have no available facilities at the airport. And I think it was Mr. Browning back in the days, wanted us to just kind of show what that number would be versus some others. So what we've done is we've gone for September. That's all of your T hangars. That's all of your commercial hangars. The rates, and that's right there is prior to any hangar adjustments, and that's prior to the first of the year, fiscal year. So what I expect you guys to see next cycle around would be the rental adjustments that we put in place, which were effective November the 1st. Okay, so that will be our essentially 2023 will be our base hangar facilities rental number. Next. Miscellaneous items, I wish I had t-shirts as number one up there, but I don't. So, but we also track the maintenance, the tie downs. Tie downs fluctuate. Transit customers coming in and out at different times, staying different stays. Aviation lubes, miscellaneous. A lot more activity year over year, but that's a smaller revenue source for us. Next. Total revenue difference, year over year, around about 6,000. I'm not alarmed by it. I will tell you guys that I have noodled on this meeting, since we announced it, and I'll share with you where I am for a few minutes. I believe that our problem with the tanks, or identifying the issues with the tanks, happened at an ideal time, because I believe with it being the last month in our fiscal year, going into a new fiscal year, I think, that was less impactful in terms of revenue. I think once we get the marketing campaign in place and really start pushing it out, we'll catch up on some of the low activity that we're seeing here. So, bear with us. Once we get the tanks back online, then we can really push the plan out. I will also say in closing that, as I stated in the previous meeting, I would prefer to have a problem now, versus out there. So at the end of the day, I can't reverse that. I can reverse this. So, that's really where we are. Yeah. Any questions? Thanks, sir.
So maybe this is a good place when we're talking about rent revenues, Wayne, to go back to our agenda item that we didn't put on.
Yeah, about the
Thank you, sir.
about getting an appraisal.
Yes, okay. You want to bring that back up?
Well, yeah, let's, where are we with that? Have we had any action on that? And any more thought by staff?
So, I kick it off. So after the meeting, we identified a number of appraisal opportunities. So, it's my understanding we were going to kind of identify what all we needed to get appraised, and I select a company, a single company to come in and provide the services. So, we have not forgotten about it. There are other areas that we have to address.
We haven't identified an appraisal company that has the experience yet. We'll make it a priority.
And can we go into the other areas that we want to appraise to, so we are all on the same page?
Pretty much everything.
What's the purpose of the appraisal?
Make sure that we're charging fair market lease rents.
Yeah, it really came up, the big one was the sky tower. And the square footage there, that's the big. I don't know what the other ones are. I just think that's potentially lost revenue for it.
Very much so.
Yeah, because I think they're doing just a little over an acre. I think the original was about 300 or something a month. I think the new rate is 400. But I like the approach, because at the end of the day, we are required to charge for a month. So if you want to get yourself in a pickle, you don't want to get caught not doing it.
Yeah, and having the appraisal by an outside company is good ammunition. I don't, ammunition is probably not the right word. But good
Supporting
documentation, thanks. Yeah. Good documentation. Yeah, to show we have to do anything and rental.
All right, any further discussion on that topic? So, maybe by January or something.
I think so. We've engaged Cooksey and Associates to do an appraisal on surrounding land. So I just texted Jim to see if they had experience in doing a market analysis on leases. If he doesn't, then we'll probably just talk to Andrew and see if he's got some recommendation. I'm sure. Start making some calls.
Andrew and that his people probably know.
And does this lean into your little presentation?
Well, I was gonna do it under closing comments.
Okay.
And-
Well, we're not far from closing comment. I think we've got.
I want everybody to get a plate of food so their mouth.
Yeah, I do too. Well, everybody.
I'm already doing that. Thank you.
Yeah,
I've got to leave.
It's 12:38, we're a little ahead of schedule, so a sandwich.
Or y'all wanna pass these?
Which minute would be a good minute?
Pretty much have memorized.
Oh, you're talking.
Yeah, yeah. Do we have a graphic that's, or at least an aerial?
Sure. I'm sure. No problem.
He's controlling.
On an aerial, you tell me,
Could you pull up your
exit post.
forward?
You could just go to Google Maps and do like so big.
Let's see, come here, so come up here to.
You should probably stop sharing your screen and reshare when you have it
It
up.
says it's on.
You want me to
Stop
drive
share.
real quick?
Stop sharing.
You can do drive, I don't mind. Drive,
Okay.
I apologize.
Please.
but I'm not knowledgeable about this particular setup.
Don't show off now.
Favorite activity.
Is this the area you're trying to pull?
Yeah, I want to be able to show a little bit bigger area too. Right. Okay. So is everybody familiar with the abandoned runway that's outside of the fence?
Yes.
Some of you may not know this, but in looking back at some of the history, looks like this started in the late 80s. The city started to develop what was commonly referred to as an industrial park. From what we can tell, they have surplus and sought the release of aviation land in pieces, not in whole, of this general area. Now, we don't have the parcels up, but this area right here was the area that was identified for the public works site. and was also identified on the airport layout plan as surplus and to be released from the airfield. So we've done that. We've secured the release from FAA, and then it just so happened that this gentleman, Mr. Jeff Nations, reached out, and that's the exhibit that's in this document that I gave you. You flip to the third to last page. You'll see this aerial. Everybody see that? So that area that's in an orange hat, those are the areas that Mr. Nations would like to secure because he owns this and this field. So he's trying to square up his property so that he can expand a light industrial complex into the industrial park. Now, this piece of property right here is fenced on all sides and is the pond that serves these buildings and these buildings, which were later released by the city. And then the city got them back in 2014, and then we sold them again, and now we're buying them again. So it's just funny how things go round and round. But Mr. Nations, when we looked and walked this site, we happened upon these two buildings here and said, well, would you be interested in selling those? Because the city was looking at building the public works facility here, but it was over the approved budget that the commission wanted to stay under. We were at about 7 million. They only wanted to spend about 3 million. He promptly said, yeah, I think I'd entertain a land swap. We could throw the buildings in there. So we negotiated this deal. Basically, the city is getting these two buildings, the land that they sit on, which is this area, an additional plus or minus 2 acres right here. Now, the city owns this. The city also owns the runway. Believe it or not, there is not a platted right-of-way or easement through the old runway connecting PRC Way and K. Larkin Drive. Mr. Nations also owns this 12+ acre parcel here. And the city, the airport, would be securing this piece of property, and we'd be releasing the cleared area here. So he would get this portion of the runway. He would get this area, a little strip of land here, which is this back access road that would square up to his property. And the city would secure this additional 12 acres. The airport's going to be left with a larger, developable parcel that could either be a through the fence operation or outside the fence operation. So if this goes forward, we'll be seeking that the FAA release all of this old abandoned runway so that we can square up the industrial park. The city will develop their public works site here, parking lot and equipment laydown area will utilize the old runway. We will dedicate an actual right-of-way to the city so that the industrial park will have ingress and egress from the east and west. And then we will absorb this parcel into the airport layout plan. The beauty of this is the airport doesn't have to pay anything because the city is going to be paying the airport, the general fund and the utility fund for this parcel here, which we have an appraisal on. The proceeds of that then go to offset the airport's portion of this 12+ acre parcel. And I believe you're left with a little over $100,000 in revenue after that transaction, assuming that the appraisals all check out as we believe they will. And Jim Cooksey at Cooksey and Associates is working on those now. So I know that was a lot. I don't have that great of a graphic here. I can play Vanna White, get up there and point at the screen. Does anybody have any questions?
That's a lot. So the parcel to the top of this for Public Works, they're still gonna develop that whole piece?
No. It's not this map to begin with, I apologize. Judd, we wouldn't be doing anything with this portion. This is primarily wetland right here.
Okay.
This upland, we would preserve it as a potential laydown area. But I don't think we're gonna end up needing it. I think ideally what would happen is we develop out the public works site here and using the old runway as surface parking. And then the city could hold on to this, and there may be, a commercial enterprise that comes forward and in combination with the county, develop this as an extension of the business park or industrial park.
Chairman? I'm sorry, did you finish?
Yes, sir, for now.
So, are we at liberty to ask what he's gonna be doing on that piece of property?
Yes,
Okay, I just asked.
okay. So, are you familiar with, Flex Light Industrial?
Yes.
That's what he's proposing,
Oh, okay.
yes. And I've seen some preliminary plans where he's looking to line the buildings up along here, and along here. So his primary purpose for wanting to obtain this portion of the old abandoned runway is to provide for parking and ingress and egress.
Is this all related to his businesses in the islands?
I think it's a different venture.
Okay,
He's running some of that out of this facility right now, the old CDR facility.
And then on the two parcels to the, it's not, what would that be, to the west of that, down below? How much of that then would be airport property on the, to the right of your cursor? Yeah, right.
So you see the wood line here, there's a
Yes.
ditch here. We cleared to that some years back. When was that, Matt?
A lot between the last 5 to 10 years ago.
Okay, so basically the new property line would be here, all the way down to right here, to there. So instead of just having this, you'd have double the acreage
And that would be the airport or city?
airport.
Oh,
The road actually will not run through the center. It's proposed to run along this southern boundary of the old runway. So if you look at this agreement, there's a portion of property that's to be deeded to the city. It's the northernmost, I think, 1.4 some acreage of this. And obviously the city has this, which he may come back and ask for. So there may be an addendum to this purchase and sale where we sell him this acreage as well. Or we just hold on to it.
well, that's a lot.
I think it's a win-win. I mean, we're gonna get our public works facility within budget, knock on wood. The airport's gonna end up with 12+ acres in addition to what is an already large developable site. To use in the future. And we're gonna be able to improve this condition, which has just been, I don't know how you describe that, less than ideal for a long time.
Nice, so
will this be workshopped by the commission?
It's already been approved as far as the purchase and sale agreement. There'll be different things that come to the commission and the airport advisory board, depending on where we're at with the purchase and sale and the development of the public works site. So for instance, when we come back in front of the commission for authorizing the contract for the renovation and construction, I'm sure we'll have a full discussion about everything that's going on. And when we do the dedication of the right of way, there'll be a full discussion of what's going on.
So it would be, important for our chairperson to be there at that meeting, I would assume.
It'd be helpful, yes.
Okay.
How big are the buildings, Jonathan?
I think one is 12,000 and one is 5,000.
So Public Works will be able to use them when you
Yes, ma'am.
renovate them?
Yeah.
That's great.
Design build was approved.
Yes.
Yes.
Additionally, we've already started pursuing financing. So
Everything is moving.
and now how to what hot.
That's exciting.
Well, I just wanted to bring it to your attention. I know we kind of brokered this, and it does involve the airport quite a bit, but I think it's a win-win.
I noticed you've been needing that public works facility for some time.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yep.
Let's not jinx it yet. Thank you.
If you get it done, it's not in yet, right?
No, it's not done yet. Yeah.
I had a tour of that facility, and if you haven't seen it, I would encourage you to go out there and take a look at this is needed.
You're rolling. And they put a pretty old ditch
I
over
lived
there.
there for like 3 years. I love it.
It's shameful.
Yeah.
first orientation to Jonathan, he was in an office there, and we walked in, I didn't know if the ceiling was gonna fall in on me before I left.
That's probably the least of your worries.
Yeah.
I walked out there with some breathing conditions. Okay, well, thank
So
you.
I had one addendum that, I don't, are we done talking about that? Anybody else look outside? Yes, give praise, John. Thank you. What about Mr. Nations in this building over here? Is he gonna keep that? Because I think that would really be good for these folks that seem to be doing so good. You know what I'm talking about? It's just sitting empty, and I know we're getting rent, right? You paying the bill? Yeah.
That's the best kind of tenant you get. No, damn, you don't he's not complaining about anything. You get your money.
In full disclosure, it's my opinion, and I've spoken with you about this. I don't really want to muddy up the waters with this deal. We expressed through Mr. Douglas to Mr. Nations that at some point we want to sit down and talk about their utilization of that space and tell them exactly what we're wanting to do with other tenants here. And maybe get a better understanding if they want to be here long term, maybe they need something else built for them. So I guess to say in layman's terms, not planning on bringing it up until January 1. So
Okay.
yeah. So long as they keep paying the rent.
Yeah. Are there any other comments or discussions at this time?
In regards to this or in general?
In general,
I
sir.
have two things, if I could bring it up. Number one, can we get kind of a real quick executive, or have we kind of backed away from the private hangar kind of scenarios, or what are we doing with that right now?
We have not backed away. And I can give you an update and Matt, you can chime in. So, we're at the stage of into the environmental aspect of it. Part of the development over here was looking at taxiway echo. We worked with FAA, met with them, worked with them, and working through that process. But the environmentals would be the first step. And coming out of a fiscal year going into a new fiscal year, I think it probably slows some things down. Not just with the FAA, but also with FDOT. I got about 3 projects, hot projects, that we wanted to try to do and get on, but I think a lot of things are being slowed down, but we have not gotten away from it. There's still interest in developing it, but we got to get on the environmental side of it.
Yeah, so the environment, because we're trying to use that AA funds to do some of that work, including the taxiway, and that's why we have to do this full environmental kind of process for it to follow the FAA procedure. So we do have a grant that we should have before the end of the year to start that whole process, the environmental work plus preliminary type design work.
Yep.
I think, and the second thing I wanted to bring up was go back to the comment made earlier, which I think as an advisory board, we need to really think about, is the comment made about getting active pilots on the board.
Yes.
And I also like to stress something that I've been pushing this number of boards on. I'd like to see a younger, more diverse board than what we have here in terms of all diversity you can think of. So I really think that we should push that as one of our items that we work on.
Thank you.
Good point.
How young?
Younger than me, but it's a take too much. We just need to think about diversity and get some younger folks involved and some to touch all parts of our community.
And Martinez Booth, you can't live forever.
That's
Would you like me to make note, the application be on the airport advisory board as well as all city boards are on the city's website?
Thank you. But I think we've got to push it as an advisory board to do that. If we're serious about diversifying our membership.
I apologize, I gotta go. There's that.
Thank you. All I got here.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, John.
It's hard being 40 years old.
Right.
I don't see that happening.
At some point, he's starting going back.
All right, is there anything else?
I'd like to recognize Sunny's hat.
Yes. Absolutely.
And several commissioners purchased hats as well.
Jonathan's, the cabin,
Where'd you get camo or tan? I'm not gonna make right there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Your camo or tan?
No.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm not a candidate.
Motion to adjourn, okay, motion second, all in favor, say aye, motion. All right. Thank you, stand adjourned. Please get a sandwich before you leave. You don't want to take home leftovers. There ain't more
So I
time.
just, the PDF. There,
Thanks.
stop video, right?
And, but I'll end everything.
Right.
Yeah.
What?